Hello and welcome to the Cranky Old Gamer. Today we're going to be taking a look at an expansion that I'm kind of excited about. A couple months ago you may remember me reviewing Battle For Sularia. It is it's not a CCG. It's not a collectible card game because when you buy the kit, it comes with the whole thing. There are expansions, so I guess that makes it a living card game. I'm not normally a card game player, so the terms are kind of loose. However, the game originally came with two factions, the Jotun and the Scythians, and you may remember me talking about its strong similarities to a very, very famous game. But overall, I did like it. The one thing I did not like was the rulebook. Well, we have an expansion, and I am very excited about this expansion because it just makes the game explode. Two new factions, so we are finally getting more factions going on. The factions are the Protoens and the Sularians. It does come with more mercenary cards that are interchangeable with any kind of deck, but I really like that it's expanding, and even more, they fixed the rulebook. I got a kick out of when I first posted my old video for the core. I got an email from the makers of the game, and it turns out the first creator of the game, the one that I had originally interacted with when discussing reviewing the prototype and all that, he's the more techie-minded, the more engineering-minded, and he did not like my comments about how the rulebook read like a really bad technical manual. However, I am very happy to say they have come to a happy medium. The rulebook is still very technical, but it does make a lot more sense. It's more concise. It is much clearer on how to play the game. So I'm really, really happy with this rulebook. It's also not 120 pages. How long was the last one? 112? So, bravo, guys. So, the expansion. The expansion is actually going to be broken up into two Kickstarters. The whole thing is called Reign of Terror. And like I said, two different factions. Each one is going to get its own. The Protoens are going to be the first, and this Kickstarter goes live towards the end of May. I believe May 20th, May 21st. Very, very soon from the posting of this video. I really like this faction. This faction falls under what you would call a burn deck, in that you are just trying to burn through your deck as quickly as you can. It has a lot of your low-cost, low-damage creatures that you can just get out fast and swarm. And one of the things that I really like is there are a lot of higher level creatures that allow you to sacrifice your small ones to become more powerful. I will say over time the lore of this game has really expanded, and I think it's really cool. It's sort of a sci-fi corporate took over this planet. The Jotun were originally a corporation, and they kind of elevated to cyber godhood. And there was something called the Fracture, which just destroyed the world of Sularia. And there was a war between the Jotun and all of the rest of the corporations, who then kind of became the Sularians. And the Jotun won. And they're the ones that made the Scythians, and then the Scythians rose up to fight the Jotun. Well, at some point in this war, one of the Sularians was digging around underground and found an old lab. And they accidentally opened Pandora's box. They found an old military genetics weapons lab, and in it was an ultimate weapon, the Protoens. The Protoens are your xenomorphs. They're your Zerg. They're the swarming alien, scum. Most of their powers have to do with poison or virus or mutation, and they're really, really cool. Like right out of the gate, for only 1 Solarium and 2 influence, you can put out the Agrofolid Hatchery, and at the start of your combatant phase, you can place a 1/1 Proton combatant token into play, activate on you, so it's constantly spawning 1/1 creatures. Nice. Or your Abominid, like I was saying earlier. And unfortunately, this one, I have a prototype of the game, so this one does not have art. But surrender a Protoan combatant you control, like, hey, one of those 1/1 creatures. The Abominid gets +2/+2 this turn. You may only use this ability once per turn. Very cool. So it's already a 4/4 creature, and by sacrificing one of those little 1/1s, it becomes a 6/6. Yeah. We have a condition card, Bloodlust. All Protomen combatants you control get +1/+1. Well, that could boost that Abomin up to 7/7. You want to protect some of your sites you've already got out? How about the Carapace Dome? The Carapace Dome is Hardened, which is a new status. If Carapace Dome is in your front row, your opponent may not attack sites not named Carapace Dome. Odd way of wording it, but basically that's saying that this 7 toughness site has to be destroyed before they can target, say, your Agrifolet hatchery. A lot of your combatants do have sacrifice kind of. That's why I think that Agrifolet hatchery is going to be a really fun mechanic. If you're constantly pumping out 1/1 creatures, there's a lot of creatures in the Protomen army that you sacrifice one of your own to add +1/+1. That's cool. They're like devouring each other just to kill you better. There are other things that spawn more creatures, like the Hive Queen. She comes out. She is a 3/3 creature, but also comes out with 2 1/1 Protomen creatures. Again, it's a burn deck. You are constantly pumping out swarms of little creatures, and I love that. I love it. Now, like I said, there's a new mechanic, Virus. Virus is a counter, and for example, Parasite X, the Harbinger, starts with Virus 2. So it's a 0/6 creature, which means it doesn't technically have an attack, but for every Virus token on it, it has 2 attacks. So it starts as a 2/6. Parasite X gets +1/+0 for each virus counter on Parasite X. Whenever a combatant dies, doesn't say whenever Parasite X kills it, just whenever a combatant dies, put a virus counter on Parasite X. Holy crap, that's OP. Yeah, I killed a lot of my opponent with that. You can do a lot with Virus. For example, the Acid Pool is a site, and every time you activate it, you put 2 virus counters on your target Protomen combatant. More and more virus. Whew. I absolutely love the Protomen deck. It is a ridiculously fast deck, ridiculously fun. I honestly, looking through the deck, I thought it was going to be overpowered, but playing against the Larenz, that might not be the case. So, moving on to the Larenz. I kind of like the dirty yellow color of the deck. I really like that. And they are, according to the lore, when the other corporations fought against the Jotun destroyed them. And the Larenz are what is left. They have gone from corporate to anarchist renegades. They're your rebel scum. And oh, do they fight dirty. Their most common tactics tend to be guerrilla tactics. They're really good at manipulating the battlefield. For example, they have the preemptive status, which is a new status in the game. It basically plays against whoever has initiative in the game. If you're playing against an Larenz, you want them to have the initiative, otherwise they're gonna mess you up. The Larenz deck plays primarily with underhanded things. For example, you've got the Boomer. The Boomer is a 2/3 creature. Not bad. It does cost 5 Solarium to bring out. But when you deploy the Boomer, you put an Anarchy counter on the target site controlled by your opponent. Surrender means basically sacrifice. Deal 2 damage to each site controlled by your opponent for each Anarchy counter on that site. It's your suicide bombers. Dead on Arrival. They actually talk about this one on the website. This one's just mean. You're basically paying 4 threshold to with a preemptive strike to defuse target combatant before being deployed. It's a nope. I'm gonna play this. Nope. Denied. What else do we have? We've got some really good cards in the Larenz. They like to fight dirty. We have a new character type, Ruffian. And for example, you've got the Headhunter, which is a combatant. It's a 3/6 combatant, and you can exhaust it to search your play deck for an Larenz combatant with Ruffian in the name and deploy it for 0 Solarium. Absolutely free. You get to play any Ruffian. Yes. So what kind of combatants are our Ruffians? Well, let's take a look. We have the Juicer. It is a 3/3 combatant. I keep saying creature because, well, similarities to other games. The term in this is combatant, not creature. The Juicer has 2 statuses, Berserker and Quick. and it is a ruffian, so you can bring it out with that headhunter, and it is very, very fast and very strong. What else do we have? Mutant Savage. It is a ruffian. It is a 9/9 combatant. It is a giant mutant with a mask and an axe. It's pretty cool. A lot of the mechanics behind the Solarian deck involve indirect damage, putting counters on things and doing damage for each counter later on, or being able to exhaust or activate things in order to do indirect damage to sites or combatants, or this one's fun, the Village of San Clemente. Activate, and the target Solarian combatant you control cannot be defended. So you get a free hit in. Awesome. Now again, I mentioned Anarchy. There was the one card that could do damage for every Anarchy point. Well, you also have the Anarchist, who is a combatant. You can activate them and pay 1 Solarium instead of using them to attack. Put an Anarchy counter on a target site controlled by an opponent. A site gets -0, -2 for each Anarchy counter on it. So you're whittling away little by little, and then you can use the ability of that other combatant to do damage for the Anarchy. It's pretty heavy. So ultimately, I absolutely adore both of these decks. Now the game does come with a couple new mercenary cards, really just 2, at least as far as the prototype that I was given. One is Crazy Joe. He is a combatant. He's a 2/4 combatant, and he can reset a target site that you control. The other is a tactic that is really kind of interesting. You can put a counter on things and defuse their effects. So that's pretty handy. Again, the mercenary cards can be used. There's a whole mini deck of mercenaries. They can be used with any faction. As a whole, this expansion adds so much to the game. We are now up to a total of 4 factions. There is one more remaining. They have not come out yet. I think that's going to come out this summer, most likely. The name of them escapes me. I would have to look it up on the website. I actually do recommend, if you're at all interested in this game, do check out the website. They have lots of lore, lots of fiction, lots of artwork. The website is right here. It's punchitent.com. And check it out. You can become an alpha tester, so it means you can get copies and go to your local game stores and demo the game and get people excited about it. Now, I wasn't hugely excited about the core, only because it had promise, had a lot of promise, but there was only the 2 factions, and that's not all that exciting. But now there's options. Now you can play any of the 4, and you can play how you want to play. As with the core, there is a pre-made deck plus a bunch of extra cards so you can make your own, and I think that's going to really be interesting. And part of the thing that I don't like about CCGs is never knowing what you're getting. And I get that's the thrill for a lot of people, buying booster packs and, oh my God, I got a rare, I got a super rare. Oh, this one didn't have much. Okay, I have friends that have literally spent thousands of dollars on CCGs. Mind you, I've done that with Kingdom Death and X-Wing, but I knew what I was getting. I knew exactly what I was getting. And I know what I'm getting with Battle for Sularia. I know the exact card count, and I like that a lot. So once again, the Protomen Kickstarter goes live on March 20th, and the Solarian Kickstarter goes live sometime in May. I highly recommend you check them out. If you like a good card game, this is definitely a good... Like I said, before I was kind of middling on it. Now that we have 4 factions, I give it a resounding thumbs up. So check it out, guys. All right, guys, thank you all for watching. I hope you've had a good time. I hope this kind of got some interest in Battle for Sularia for you. Once again, the expansion overall is called Reign of Terror. While you're checking things out, please do check out my website, thecrankyoldgamer.com. I post all my reviews there and any kind of news, updates on the channel, stuff like that. Please check out my Instagram, thecrankyoldgamer. I post lots of stuff on there. And if you like what you see and you want to help me out, help me get better equipment, more games, stuff like that, please do consider donating to my Patreon. The link is at the end of the credits. And anybody who donates gets their name in the credits. All right, guys, thank you all for watching. Once again, this has been Battle for Sularia, Reign of Terror. We'll see you later.